You are down with.
Yo, Dave.
What up?
Drop the beat.
We like it old school.
Tuesday night.
What you listening to?
The brothers from the 818.
91331.
Pacoima, California.
What's up, Dave?
What's up, Caleb? Real and relevant conversation.
No script.
We invite you into our conversation.
What's going on, people?
You are down with.
The brothers from the 818.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about. I just still grooving off of that, man. I know I'm a little biased, but you know, that's just kind of a smooth flow. I like the way that ends. You were down with the brothers from the 818. That's us, man. Me and you. How you living? What's going on?
Hey, man, I always check in first, man. I feel like I always check in first. I'm good, but before I do a formal, like an official check-in, how about yourself, man? What's going on, Dave?
Man, I can't complain. I think we skipped a whole lot. What's up, people? My name is Dave. As you know, I'm here with my main man, Caleb. Say what's up to the people.
What's up, people?
We just chopping it up. We jumped in this one kind of backwards. You're here with the brothers from the 818. Caleb said he wants me to check in first. So life's good, man. I'm just, I'm still feeling the vibe off that intro, man. It's week 2. We're getting some positive feedback on it. It might switch up, it might not. But yeah, that's a smooth flow. I kind of love that. I let Christopher listen to it. He says, Dad, you rep your old school to the full. I'm like, that's about as high as a compliment you're gonna get. So I appreciate that. But no, man, things are good, man. I'm kind of getting excited about what's going to happen politically. I'm feeling a high from the weekend, from some sports activity. I know you are as well, which we could talk about a little bit. Some crazy stuff going on. I found out today was another one of them holidays, man. And I'm just like, what's up with that? So I want to talk about that a little bit. I think we're just going to be all over the place.
Okay.
The last 2 weeks, we've just, 2 weeks ago, we were, I wouldn't call it somber, but, the debate really wasn't that great. And we spent time talking about it. Last week, we kind of laughed and chuckled with it a little bit, and it was a little more relaxing. This week, I think we're gonna talk a little politics because that's what's going on. But, we're going to be all over the place. So, my check-in will be through the whole show on the real. I'm just going to bring up stuff that's happening. So, what about you, man? What's happening?
Life is good, man. Life is good. Lakers are now have 17 chips. I love that. I learned that my Dodgers are down in this playoffs off series 0-2 now. And so they were favored to go back to the championship. Not happy about that. So we got some sports to talk about. I know about the Raiders. And then we could also talk about my Niners.
Yeah.
Something else that happened is that I had a chance to hang out with some of our previous guests. I hung out with Deb and Shay, and they gave us some love. And so I wanted to shout them out again because they were some exceptional guests, and we can't wait to have them on sometime after we hit triple digits, or maybe even before. I don't know, man. But yeah, life is good for me, Dave.
All right. Deb and Shay, what's up? If y'all watching, that was definitely one of our highest rated shows. And y'all, we had fun with y'all. So we definitely want to bring y'all back just to chop it up and see what else is going on, what's new, what's happening. Just good people. So hopefully you told them I said what's up in advance. How's Vivine doing, man? Did you tell her I said what's up?
Hey, I told her you said what's up, and she's dark skinned like you, man. But I think she was blushing, man. I couldn't really tell, but I think Vivine was blushing, man. And so I love shouting out the people that we're in contact with, like from week to week. I love shouting out people that was on as a guest. I love people who responds to and sends us messages. I love that we recognize them because this is just two brothers from the 818, man, getting together every week, chopping it up. And this is what we would do if we were on the phone,
Right.
and just trying to catch up, So I love that.
Yeah. So speaking of hollering and shouting out guests from previous episodes, them Brown girls, they doing their thing still. But part of them Brown girls is my girl. I'm not gonna say her name at the moment because that's why I'm busting her out right now. Told her I would. We were having one of them chop it up conversations, and she was like, "And you don't even say my name right." I'm like, "How hard is it to say your name?" She's like, "Say it." And so I said it. She was like, "Nope, that's not how you say it. I started with an E, and it's actually supposed to be started with an E." So I told her, "All right, my bad. Since you didn't busted me out, we've been together for a while now. Now you tell me how to say your name. That's on you." So it's Ilana, not Elana. So
What took her so long?
I don't know. When you talk to her, you make sure you make it 2 words. Ilana. What's going on? So let her know. But no, special shout out to her. That's my girl. We like to have fun. But I told her I was going to put her on blast on the show. So I did. Right. We can, like I said, when you talk to her, you can get her. Next time we have her on, you can be like, by the way, back in the day, X, Y,
Ilana.
So, but no, special shout out to her. Special shout out to them
Brown girls.
They doing their thing. I hear they got a pretty banging episode coming up on a certain topic. So we're gonna see. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to spoil their thunder because I haven't really seen a lot of their ad work for it. But they got some stuff happening. So big ups to them.
For sure.
So yeah, man, things are good. I got no complaints. I got one complaint. Let me just say this. I don't know whether it's because, you one of them lighter skinned bros, but you look so much brighter. Your area looks like you just got studio lamps up in there, man. And I'm over here all dim. I don't know. I mean, I do look like a good looking chocolate brother, so I'm not bad, but I'm like, man, it's dark in here, and I got lights hitting me from all angles. I guess I got to adjust them or something. I don't know. But you're all bright, and I'm all dim. It's like we're doing a Devil and Angel commercial or a Neapolitan ice cream commercial or something. It's just the opposites or whatever. But what's up with that?
Hey, man, can I tell you what it is?
What is it?
You appreciate this as a techie, right? As a nerd, as I have affectionately called you for many years, man. You need to increase your bandwidth, man. You need to step up your game. Like this is Home Depot, and I'm sure there's 100 of other people out there doing podcasts just like us. Just got to get your lighting right, man. I don't know what you spent on it, but double whatever you spend and get some good quality lighting, and stop playing games.
I'm gonna take that for the moment because we try to keep a family-friendly show. But just know it's coming.
Okay.
Hey, let's jump into a couple things, and in no particular order. I'm a little confused. I was at the store earlier today, and I go grocery shopping on the weekends, but during the week I might be like, oh, I forgot this, and so I might spend a couple dollars on a few days during the week, and the people at the grocery store know me. And he was like, "What's up? Nothing. How you doing? What's going on? Blah blah blah." He's like, "Man, I'm just trying to get home to see the Dodgers. I know you love the Dodgers, right?" And I was just like, I ain't got nothing against the Dodgers. They're the local team. I said, but I'm focused on football right now. I just finished baseball, and I just finished basketball, and I don't know if I got room for baseball in my agenda. And so, no, I'm not really, going home with it. He was like, man, that's all I could think about doing. And so I was like, are we really that twisted and turned around for the sports schedule? And I found out we're not. I am, but we're not. I think I was just thrown off by the fact that basketball should have ended back in June, and it just ended last week or earlier this week, right? Yeah. What was the last game? Monday?
Tuesday.
So was it that long? Anyway, so I think all the other sports are on schedule. I think it's just basketball that's late right now.
Today's Tuesday, brother. Last game was Sunday.
Last game was Sunday. Okay, that makes sense. So I think basketball is in it late, but that's throwing me off because I'm used to being done with basketball in the middle of summer. Not used to being deep in the football season, celebrating the basketball championship, and trying to figure out who's going to be playing the final games for baseball at the same time. So sports is all thrown off right now.
You know, basketball usually is starting right now, and I haven't followed, like, kept up with the plans for the NBA moving forward. Like, if they're planning to start in like 2 months,
Right.
so that they could continue to kind of chip back and chip away at and get back onto their regular cycle, right? And then maybe in 2021 they'll start, another month earlier, right? I don't know, but basketball usually is starting and having preseason games around this time, and baseball is usually finishing up around October. I think what they did with baseball is they just shortened the season to match what it would normally look like, and then football had a game on tonight, I believe. I think there was a football game on tonight because of COVID and some of the challenges that they're having with COVID. And so, yeah, all of that is interesting. But something else that jumps out to me is that when you look at the NBA, what the NBA did, not necessarily what the Lakers did, but the Lakers did the damn thing, right? But when you look at the NBA, something really remarkable happened in the bubble. There was not one positive test for COVID-19. And they were testing people every day. I think they were testing people every day except game day. Not one positive test. And so what does that mean if you're in the bubble? If you put yourself in a bubble, or if you follow the rules, if you wear a mask, if you do social distancing, and you test you test regularly, not one person, and I think there was like more than 2,000 people that came in and out of the bubble at one point when all the teams were there and they had all of the Disney staff there. That really speaks to, I don't know, I don't want to get into the politics, but the where we're at as a nation, right? Because people are following the rules and they're not testing positive for COVID-19, and in relations to that, the parallel that I'm trying to draw is that if we did that as a nation, put ourselves in a bubble, right? Shut down, like the president says, he shut down travel from China, right? But if you put everyone else in a bubble, we wouldn't have 214,000 people that are dead right now. And I don't want to pivot. I don't want to pivot too far away from the sport. So let's stay there, because I got to talk some politics at some point, because it's weighing heavy on me.
Okay, well, let's keep that going there. When I'm listening to the stat, and I haven't looked it up myself, but you said there's not one case. Are we talking since the playoffs began, or during the NBA season? Where's that fact come from? We said not one confirmed case of COVID in
not one case inside of the ESPN Disney bubble in Florida after all the players arrived.
Okay, all right.
Now, we know that there was cases prior to that, because Homeboy was licking mics and stuff, and was one of the first players to come down, the first NBA players to come down with COVID-19.
Yeah, so, I think you're right. It showed that, yes, you can bring people into an enclosed area and control your space. And call it the bubble, and still stay safe, still protect, and still be able to continue on with business. On the contrary, every day you're hearing about a different player, a different team in the NFL that's affected with COVID, and games that are rescheduled, and cities that are shut down, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's still it's a manageable situation that's being poorly managed. And when I say that, I mean everyone from the individual level to the corporate level to the state, city levels of government and so forth. I mean, even 45, supposedly got COVID. Got COVID.
Still on that, you don't believe that 45 got COVID?
I believe in the possibility of all things, and so time will tell on that one. But his doctors are saying that he's negative, so whatever. We don't got to go back to that. But the Lakers, man, they did that thing. I think I'm not a Laker fan, that, but I think 17 rings is amazing. The fact that they routed Miami the way they did. Again, it wasn't a sweep, but they dominated the majority of those games. And that last game, was just a blowout. So big ups to the Lakers. All my Laker fans out there that know I don't generally have great things to say. I kept my mouth shut for a reason. On one level, I'm happy for LeBron that he was able to come to the team and revive it, or as he said, he wants his respect. So hopefully he gets the respect that he wants and deserves for leading the team to a championship. But big ups. I saw that they want to do the parade as soon as it's safe to do so. So I don't know when that's going to happen. How much time needs to pass before LA won't be concerned about a parade?
Well, let me just correct you on one thing, man, because I am a Laker fan.
Yes, you
are. Right. And LeBron didn't say that he wants his respect. He said he wants his damn respect. Right.
All right.
And I think that, there's certainly conversation to be had about GOAT worthiness, right?
Yep.
The GOAT title. But I think the man should certainly get more respect than he's given, right? I think that the verdict is still out in regards to regarding the conversation about the GOAT, right? And so for people that may not be familiar with when we talk about GOAT, it means the greatest of all time. And I don't know. I don't want to go there. By the way, the first player that tested positive in the NBA was Rudy Gobert, right? And he played for Utah, and that was on March 11. He was messing around with the mics, and he was making light of it, and he tested positive. I think Jeannie Buss, by the way, she gave such a dynamic acceptance speech for the award. She recognized everyone in the NBA and the Players Association, the NBA executives and their staff. She recognized everyone in the bubble and how hard all the teams worked and all the players. I thought she did great, and she also recognized Los Angeles, right? And she was talking about she wants to have a parade whenever it's safe, but that's not going to happen until the governor says that it's safe. I think the Lakers organization could go and do something like they did after the Lakers won the championship on Sunday, but I don't think that was very safe because people were out there with no masks, not doing social distancing or anything like that. I think as the Laker organization, they should wait until the governor or the mayor that says, all right, well, this is what we would want the parade to look like, the celebration to look like, and do something like that. And when is that going to happen? I don't know, man. You tell me when we're not going to be, when COVID's going to be no longer a threat to to our society. I have a hunch. I have a hunch on when we're going to be back to normal. You want to hear it?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, I was thinking about this today. I think that it's going to be after the flu season. I think probably March or April of 2021 will be closer to what looked like normal, and the vaccine will be out. Flu season will be and past its peak concern. There's normal concern for flu season. All the medical personnel would have had more than a year of planning for COVID. PPE shouldn't be a concern. Open beds shouldn't be a concern. So if there are concerns, then hospitals and medical personnel will be ready to respond to it, and the numbers should be significantly lower for the simple reason that flu season has come and gone or past its peak, and COVID has been out there for more than a year, and a vaccine is now available. And by then, some of the skepticism around any COVID vaccine should also be waning.
Okay.
That's my hunch.
I don't have an issue with the hunch. I think your logic is sound with that. I honestly think we can nip this thing in the bud in about 30 days or so. Not that we will, but I think it's driven the reverse way. I think, yes, we're waiting from the heads of the CDC and top officials and so forth to come out with a vaccine and so forth and so on. But if the people would just slow down, wear a mask, operate accordingly, we could, as we started out with this back in March and April, flatten that bell curve more than what it is. And I'm going to go back to an example I used back in March or April whenever we were kicking off about Noah, right? So Noah was in the ark with the animals and his family. And when it stopped raining, he could have, jumped off the boat, went swimming, right? And found the first place of dry land and said, this is where we're going to be. Y'all swim over here. Instead, he waited. It's like, I'm going to send out a dove, see what it comes back with. When the dove finally brought back a leaf, he knew that there was areas to go, and they took their time and so forth. So I think what happens, we're such in a rush to get things back to normal. As soon as restaurants open up, we flood them. As soon as barbershops open up, we flood them. As soon as things look normal, we flood it. And then it makes numbers spike, and then we go back to where we were, right? But we just need to slow down. I think if we got the green light that everything looks good and people said, okay, I'm just going to chill for like 2 weeks and let the waters dry down a little bit, I think we'd be a lot farther ahead of it right now. Again, not from a vaccine standpoint and all of that, but 211 American citizens have died from this.
You see, I thought it was more than that. But I love your analogy. And I agree that, that flooding of all the letting down of the guards and the regulations and the restrictions is certainly part of the problem.
Yep.
There's another problem out there, but if we're going to go there, we're going to have to talk politics. Now let's not talk 45 yet, but there is another problem, and there is some people who are strongly opposed to being told that they have to wear shoes when they go into a grocery store, or a shirt, or pants, or for as it pertains to COVID-19, a mask, right? And there's I know you've heard of the group of people who was charged that was plotting against the Michigan governor, and it came out today or yesterday that they were also plotting to kidnap the Virginia governor. We'll talk the politics that is driving some of this, but I have become more and more concerned about what I think is radicals, right? What I think is a greater threat to our democracy than having or asking someone to wear a mask is these groups that feel like the hell with the laws, the hell with the politics, the hell with the people that are appointed over us. They're making rules that I don't like, and I'm just going to go ahead and kidnap them, put them on a boat, and leave them for dead. That is more alarming than anything that COVID has brought us.
Well, we're seeing a rise of the extremists, right? And we're not seeing, again, go to politics or whatever, but we're not seeing enough of a calming nature or even a legislative nature that's stopping them in their tracks or making it difficult for them to operate. So, it's not over. People are still looking at what their next steps might be. I saw a few articles about families talking about relocating to other countries. They were going to plan to do it in 5 or 6 years anyway. Now they're talking about escalating their plans, moving their plans ahead because they're just unsure of what's to happen next. And I look at things like that and I'm like, that's living in fear. And I'm not a person who lives in fear, but someone else would say, no, that's wisdom, because I'm looking at the climate, looking at where it's going and trying to get ahead of it before I'm forced to do something unprepared. I understand that too. So it's forecasting. So it's a weird time, man. And but yeah, these extremist groups and different things that you're seeing that are popping up, it's not done. And unfortunately, it will probably get worse before it gets better, especially as we head into the national election that's coming up, and what that's going to look like, and the results, and everything else. And as much as we want to talk around it, there's some politics that we're gonna have to discuss tonight. So I want to give everything its fair go. I could appreciate your reservation with when you were talking about LeBron and the GOAT. I would love to get some sports aficionados up in here and some people to really dive into this. We could really make that subject in and of itself, GOAT chasing, a big one with some major players. And when I say major players, I mean people who are looking at the stats, looking at the facts, looking at the comparisons, and so forth and so on. I'm choosing a lane right now, and my lane is just I'm happy that the Lakers won. I'm celebrating their victory. I'm happy that LeBron got to be a part of that, regardless of how I feel about them individually. And I'm just leaving it there until the time is right for us to have a different type of conversation.
Hey, man, I think you're taking the high road. And I like it, man. I like it because some people are haters and they'll take the low road. And I like the fact that you could be so reserved and say, well, let's get some people in here so we can have an intelligent discussion, not just I like LeBron, I like MJ, I like Kobe. What about Bill Russell, right? Who has all those rings, right? And why is Kareem not ever considered part of the GOAT conversation, right?
In this discussion, yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot.
Yeah, what stands out to me with the GOAT conversation is that people will say, well, Kobe is a better example of Michael Jordan. And because Kobe tried to emulate Michael Jordan, and Kobe would be a better example to compare apples to apples. LeBron shouldn't be compared against Michael Jordan. And I say, no, man, we're talking about the greatest of all time, NBA player, the greatest NBA player of all time. And so all NBA players are put into the bucket, right? We're not talking about the greatest point guard or greatest center, right? We're talking about the greatest player of all time. And because of that discussion, it creates an avenue for people to form their opinions and make their arguments and walk away disagreeing, because it's just we're not going to have a consensus in regards to who is the greatest of all time. I will give LeBron a lot of credit for his longevity. I think he made it into a 9 out of 10. He was in the championship, the NBA Finals, 9 out of 10 years. Hard to argue with that. Hard to argue with some of the stats that he's collecting. But it's hard to argue against Michael Jordan, who I think is still the greatest of all time. But I think LeBron is still closing in on him, or making a stronger argument, or making or his time in the league, his stats, his championships, his awards, his accolades will, at one point, if he continues this for another year or two, will actually be reason for people to pause long enough to have a discussion against Michael Jordan.
Right. Yeah, I think, again, for you and I to have this discussion, as you're going to give your opinion, I'm going to give mine. I would love to have some more viewpoints in the room, because I think that discussion goes a lot farther than, who's the greatest of all time. We're going to look at a whole lot of different avenues of that. And there's some people who 40 years could pass by, and another, 6 NBA players that are worthy of mention, and they'll still say they don't compare to MJ because, there's some that'll say, well, it should have been Kobe, but X, Y, and Z. And it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing, is because that's where their allegiances are, et cetera. And so, yeah, it'll be a good conversation. But let me transition away from it for half a second. We're going to stay in sports for a second. But Preston asked me the other day, Sunday morning, he saw us getting ready to watch some football. He was like, Dad, who's the best football team in the league? Right. So I just kind of looked at him. I said, if I had to say right now, I would say the Chiefs. Right. And he says, well, why would you say the Chiefs? I was like, well, they're the champs. They won last year. I was like, I look at their quarterback. I look at their offensive line. I look at their defense. I look at their ability to do X, Y, and Z. I look at their current record. I look at the numbers that they're putting up. And I put all that into a chart. And I say, based upon all this, arguably, I'd say they're the best team in the league. Now, someone else could have that discussion and be like, absolutely not, because it will be X, Y, and Z, and so forth and so on. Again, similar to the basketball conversation, we can go there. Then they played the Raiders, and the Raiders matched them touchdown for touchdown in the first half, and then ended up taking the lead, and nobody did anything the third quarter. The Raiders ended up being victorious. I was through the roof. You can only imagine. I was jumping up and down. I accused Patrick Mahomes of being salty because he didn't shake anybody's hand at the end. I don't know if he shook anybody's hand at the end of the last game either. Maybe he just doesn't because of COVID. But I don't know. I was just, I was having a good time celebrating my team's victory. So he came back in and he said, so Dad, does that mean the Raiders are the best team in the league? I was like, not even close. And he said, well, who's the best team now? I was like, probably the Chiefs. Right. And so, because he's not really into sports, he didn't get that. But so I'm just going to fire it at you. What do you think about that? What do you think about, best team in the NFL right now? We're in week 7. Things are moving. Have you followed close enough to have an opinion on that?
Congratulations to the Raiders. All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that I have been following. I have been following the league fairly closely, and I do have an opinion about who's playing well and what team should be. Who should be considered like playoff bound already, right? And I think we're at week 5, going into week 6. Let me not sidestep the elephant in the room, which is my team that is 2-3 after losing to Kansas City and being probably identified as one of the top 5 teams in the league before the season started. Game 1, I think it was game 1. We lost like 8 players, right? And the following week we lost some other players, and we are broken. If y'all don't know my team, man, then y'all haven't been listening. My team is the San Francisco 49ers. So I've been following, but not with as much interest that I would if my 49ers were doing well. But some of the teams,
before you continue, got to interrupt you. I'm going to need you to send a special shout out to Valerie because she's a huge 49er fan. And whenever she hears you talk about the 49ers, she celebrates openly. So I need you to, no matter where she is, so I need you to spend a special shout out to Valerie.
Well, whenever I talk about the 49ers, we know that we have a fan out there, and her name is Valerie. And I just want to recognize not just you being a fan of the brothers from the 818, not just being someone from the 818, right? The 91331, but also a big fan of the 49ers, because there's a lot of us out there. People don't know. We're not as loud as the Raider Nation. We're not as loud as Steeler Nation, right? We don't always rep our jerseys in the community, but we out there, and we got 5 chips. And so for anyone else that want to talk chips, when anyone else want to talk fandom, right, then we are always part of the conversation. Now, as far as best teams, I would say Kansas City Chiefs, because they got that man, that half of Billy, Patrick Mahomes, right?
Oh, yeah.
I also know that Green Bay is playing outstanding. I also know that Seattle Seahawks are also doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
There's Buffalo, and there's Baltimore, right? But if I had to pick 3, it will probably be Kansas City, AFC, Green Bay, and maybe Seattle right now. I know the Rams are also playing very good. The Rams lit up the scoreboard this past weekend. Some Steelers are also playing very well, and so I'm keeping track.
Okay.
And I also know that Dallas Cowboys, they took a major loss with Dak going down and breaking his ankle. Come on, man.
It was bad, man.
Yeah, it was bad. It wasn't one of the worst, but it was pretty bad. But that's how fickle this sports world is, right? I remember the season when Derek Carr got hurt, right? But people were looking at the Raiders as if they were going to be playoff bound for the next couple of years, and then he got hurt, and then they've been trying to get back ever since. Right. And we'll see, but hopefully that answers your question. Hopefully my Niners will be back. I'm really happy to see the Raiders do well, because Raider fans get all crazy. They don't know how to deal with themselves, man. They be pop locking in, and they be pop locking in the grocery store, right? And then somehow Raider Nation, somehow, some way, they always bring me more joy when they humbly say, it must have been Derek Carr. I don't know why Gruden called that play. I don't know why our receivers, our defense. So there's always something, man. So, hey, but let me just say this as well. I'm a Niners fan. I'm a Raider hater. And so let's not be confused about that either. Man, I'm giving props to the Raiders because they did it this past weekend.
We're definitely getting older because, one, I'm a 49er hater, and I not only gave you space to celebrate your team, but I gave you space to celebrate a fan of the show who likes to celebrate your team as well. So we're getting older, man. It's not worth the fight as much as it used to be. Right. The other thing is I'm a Raider fan. I bleed silver and black. I always believe in the possibility of my team making it to winning any game. The team that played against the Chiefs was a dominant team, and they played exceptionally well. The team that played against Buffalo the week before, not so much. Same people, right? Same game, same rules, and so forth. So you just never know who you're going to get with my Raiders. But I'm also a closet AFC West fan. So the fact that the Chiefs are playing so well, I feel pretty good about that. When the Chargers do well, I feel good about that. And as long as they're not playing the Raiders, when Denver does well, I feel good about that too, right? So I'm just a closet AFC fan. I celebrate the AFC West. And, Mahomes, I'm like, man, he's younger than my son, younger than your daughter, and he's going to be around for a while. So, we got to deal with KC. And I'm not going to be rooting for them on any level when the Raiders are playing them. And if we can, as we've done notoriously over the last 30 years I've been a fan, we play KC hard every time. And we've knocked them out of a few spots because, we had to lose so they could move forward. And we went on ahead and won that game when it meant nothing to us anyway. So, we'll always play KC a little different. But it was a great game. I didn't see a lot of, bad calls being done. I just saw some good football. And that was that. So I feel real good about my Raiders this weekend.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah. So, I don't think they're ever going to open the stadium this season, but I'm looking forward to getting in there next season and being able to root my team on. I'm actually considering, just making it a weekly trip to head on up, or not every week, obviously, but for the 8 games that I would have a ticket for, making that a trip. So we'll see.
Oh man, I remember the 49ers heyday, man. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get me some season tickets, man. I deserve this. And I had season tickets. And at the end of that season, I was like, man, this is a journey, man. This is work. Tired. Games are always in the PM, right? All the home games are in the PM. And so I'm up early, excited for the game. I'm at the game. There until, I don't know, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock out the parking lot, 5-hour drive back to LA or get back to the hotel and then drive the next morning or fly.
Right.
It became a lot of work, man. And you said that as we get older, we're maturing as kind of sports fans, right? And what dawned on me is that my 49ers, I've never got a check from Ned, Ted, any of the York family, right? And so, I gotta keep in mind, man. I'm a fan, but everything within reason. And if I'm going to be making that trip, it's more than that ticket for me to pay for that seat. It's also if I'm staying in the hotel. There's also that if I'm putting miles on my car, if I'm getting a rental car, if I'm hanging out before, if I'm hanging out after, what I'm drinking at the game, what I'm eating at the game, if I'm buying any souvenirs, right? Any gear. All of that stuff adds up, man. And I was looking at it and I was a single guy and I was like, man, I could afford it, man. I'm a 49er for life. I'm going to pay for it. It doesn't matter what it costs.
Right.
So I say all of that to say, if you go on to the Raiders every weekend or every home game, good luck. Vegas is not cheap as it used to be. And I'm sure the prices are even going to be higher when you're there in town. And something else is that brother like to gamble, and so that also comes in play. Maybe you gamble and you win.
Right. Well, I look at it like this. We being transparent. I've been a Raider fan forever, and for every game I've ever gone up to the Bay to check out, I've never left there without, and this I'm not including ticket price, spending $1,000 to $1,500 just for the weekend, right? Hanging out, celebrating, paraphernalia, going here, going there, whatever it takes. And, that was just that. But it wasn't that often. You add that up, though, times 8. And then you're in Vegas and, I got people out there. So residence isn't really an issue. I don't know if I enjoy the drive like I used to. So I'm throwing in plane tickets. My girl might want to come every once in a while. So that's a second ticket. It could be expensive. But I think I'm willing to do it for one season. And we'll see how the rest goes. And because the bottom line is, if you're going to get in on the season ticket game, one, you got to pick up that PSL. That PSL ain't cheap, right? And so that's the investment. And then you're paying for the seats. So, but any game I don't go to, you can always sell the ticket for more than you got it for. So you're not losing money on the tickets for the ones you can't go, but also don't want to get season tickets and only go to 1 or 2 games and just lose or not even lose, but have to, sell the other ones. I want to have season tickets because I want to go. So
Right.
we'll see. No commitments at this point, but we'll see what that looks like. We'll see.
Right.
So,
and I was having a conversation earlier while I was at work, and for some reason I said, "Hey, man, money is. I don't have any money concerns, right?" I said it like that, but I didn't mean it. The one way that you could tell that I didn't mean it is because I'm still working, right? I'm still employed, right? And so I didn't mean it the way that I said it because I still need to bring in that income, right? But the days in which I had account before I've made a purchase, or check and see how much balance was on a credit card before I swiped it. Those days are gone. And that's what I meant in regards that I don't have any money concerns, right? But I am aware that, if I dump $500 in a stadium on my team, I'm helping their advertisers, I'm helping paying their salaries. And like I said, the York family never paid me. I'm sure the Davis family, you've never gotten a check from them. And I don't know if it's worth it as much as I thought it was when I was younger.
Yeah, man. Not only have they never gave me a check, they haven't responded to an email. Nothing, man. I don't exist. I'm like, you got to know who I am. As much as I've spent on the organization, have you seen my closet? Have you seen the paraphernalia I have? Come on, man. You got to know who I am. Really, I'm just a nobody. It's almost offensive, but I guess I'm the fool because I keep doing it. So, and I will keep doing it. So that is what it is. So we will see how that goes as the season continues. Still believing my Raiders can do some stuff. I don't know if this loss by the Chiefs is going to energize them. I don't know who they play next, but do I feel sorry for them? But they're about to come up because Mahomes realizes maybe I'm human. But I don't know. So we'll see. I look forward to each week with full anticipation because teams we should lose to, and any Raider fan can attest to this, teams we should lose to, we play hard and we not dominate. And teams that, we should just easily wallop over, we end up, with a field goal and maybe a touchdown drive at the end of the game. You just never know. It's any given Sunday, right? And so who knew that at the end of game 1, you would lose like 6 players, 7 players, right? I mean, that's the game, right? And every sports analyst and agent and bookie and sportscaster and everybody else has their opinions about what's going to happen. And then there's kickoff and we all just ride that roller coaster to the end. So, but that's the joy of being a sports fan, man. That's why they make beer. So,
right. That's what I love it. I love it. Let me say this is one last thing, man. And it's regarding the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
I think it's good that they lost because there was a lot of pressure, man. There was a lot of pressure on Mahomes a year before. And then they had an incredible year after he came back from his knee injury, winning the Super Bowl, and then starting the year with his large contract and being undefeated until then. I think sometimes it's good to kind of let out that pressure of chasing an undefeated season and having, every sportscaster in Vegas saying, hey, you guys are the best team. You guys are favored to win. At least now they don't have to be worried about chasing the Miami Dolphins for the undefeated season. They don't have to worry about being invincible. And now they could go ahead and focus on improving from where they're at.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, look, we probably have about 20 more minutes in this podcast. So, we got to get to the inevitable. And I'm just going to open it up with this. Saw a commercial today, and it was talking about, in California, every, registered voter can mail in their ballot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. says, and you get a unique code on your ballot that allows you to track it. And you can see, you know, where it is, has it been tallied, has it been received? You can track it through the whole process. So the first thing I want to say to all my California voters out there, track that code. Once you actually receive your ballot and turn it in, use that code. Make sure that the work that you put in makes it to the end. And I want to give an example of that, but I'm going to come back to it in a second. The second thing I want to bring up is, where's the code for when you haven't got your ballot yet? I'm getting a little nervous, man. I haven't got my ballot yet. Have you got yours?
No, me either. No, I haven't got my ballot.
Okay. All right. Well, I won't be super concerned then, because, you know, we're nowhere near each other from that standpoint. But I'm like, man, where's my ballot? Where's my ballot? Because, you know, I really want to, you know, do my part. And I actually want to turn it in person somewhere versus mailing it in. But knowing there's a tracking code, I think at the end of the day, I'm going to at least going to know where my ballot went. Right. Remember, I talked about with Malcolm, he had that speech, the ballot or the bullet. My ballot has a target and I want it to reach its intended destination. Otherwise, I would throw it away myself. Right. I would just flush it down the toilet myself, or put it in the forest, or let it get wet in the rain, or something like that. Here's the example I want to throw out, and then I want to hear what you had to say, and then let's talk about a couple of different issues. Again, Preston's my target because he's at that age where he's asking more questions. And he says, Dad, you can't possibly believe your vote is going to make a difference, right? And
What
so
did he say, Doug, before you finish?
Mhm.
What exactly did he say to you in regards to this topic that you're talking on? What was his words?
His words were that, Dad, you can't believe that your one vote is going to make a difference in the election, right? And so I said, you know, I'm going to agree with you. And he was like, okay. I said, so let me give you the example. And I think you've heard this before. Most people who know me have heard it, but, you know, for anybody watching, it's like this. If you walk down the street and you see a dime, you may or may not pick it up, depending upon what that dime means to you, right? But at the end of the day, at the end of that day, you're not going to look back and say, man, I really wish I had picked up that dime. Now I'm in trouble. Now there's a problem. Now there's something. At the end of the day, it's just a dime. And to the person who lost that dime, because dimes just don't grow out of the ground. The person who lost that dime, odds are they're not going to end up somewhere and be like, man, I lost that dime. It's a problem. I really need to go find that dime. That dime is representative of your one vote, right? But if 10 people dropped a dime and they were all in the same place and you come walking by, you picking up all 10 of those dimes is $1. If 1,000 people dropped a dime, if 1,000,000 people dropped a dime, if 10 million people dropped a dime and you walk past them all at the same time, you would pick up all 10 million of those dimes because you just became a millionaire, right? So the individual dropping something that doesn't mean something to them means a whole lot to the collective unit. It picks it up, right? So that's what I explained to him about the vote. You can't look at it as what your one vote will do. You have to look at it as the collective value of those one votes and how they can sway. What I've said so many times is, you give me every vote that would not be used anyway, and I can pick any president I want, even Kanye, right? Or anybody else that would just be random, because there's a lot of wasted votes out there, right? But a vote is supposed to have a destination, and your right to vote should be attached to a destination because you have the right to use it. And you should do everything you can in your ability to make sure it gets there. Now, I know in today's environment with mailing in and so forth, there's already the thought by the current administration that, you know, if they win, that's what's supposed to happen. If they lose, it's because of all the fraud and everything that goes on. But, you know, within your ability, you need to make sure your vote at least reaches its destination. And maybe through all of your research, maybe through all of my research, I'll find out that, man, I did turn it in, but it never showed up anywhere it was supposed to be. And I can't do anything about that, right? But I'm not going to be unknown in that. I'm going to figure out exactly where it's been, and I will breathe a sigh of relief when I know my vote's been counted.
Man, I love the PSA, man. I really do. I love the PSA, and something that we stated at the start, episode podcast 1, is that we're probably going to talk politics as we get closer to the election. And even before then, when the political season was heating up, I said, what will I do this year will be different than what I did last time in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's necessary for us to continue to have these conversations and put out these public service announcements and educate people about the value of their vote. I know that it's sometimes people can't see or recognize the value because they think it's just one vote. It doesn't mean anything in California. California is a democratic state. It doesn't mean anything. Someone told me this past weekend. Did you hear that people are writing in Kanye's name as I don't know, independent or vice president or something? And I was taken back. I was actually pretty disgusted. And because we don't use any profanity on this show, I was livid about the thought that people are still playing games with this election, with this president in office, knowing that there's conversation about what is it? About fake ballots, about the legitimacy of the election. We know that there was a report in California that there was false collection sites for ballots showing up, right? We know that these things are happening in small pockets, and we're still talking about Kanye West. We're still considering and laughing and chuckling. I voted for Kanye. I thought it was funny. Right? I'm taking a picture with my ballot with Kanye's name on it. Nothing that has happened in the past 4 years is funny to me. Right? It's really alarming for some of the people that might joke about this Kanye West, this write-in on Kanye West. It's offensive. The same people that might do that are the same people that are being hurt by the current politics that is being played in this country. And I think that we need to continue to do PSAs. I think we need to continue to educate. I'm really surprised because as much as I try not to give too much credit to President Donald Trump, right? I just call him Trump, or I just call him the president, right? There's been a time which David Smith said, I'm not going to give Kanye any more run, right? And you gave Kanye, there was a Kanye sighting, or a Kanye announcement in our podcast tonight. And I'm really surprised that you did it, but I'm glad that you did it because it sparked me enough to share my story that, of my house guests that make me aware of people writing in Kanye's name. So it's really important for us to continue to have these conversations about this political season and everything else is going on. So let me say this, man. I've been loosely following the political platform, the political moves, the political chess game this week. And I know that Trump, after being in a hospital less than probably 10 days, 2 weeks ago, he's back on the campaign trail, and he's in public with his supporters who could care less about wearing a mask. And he's out there throwing in with his bare hands, not with any gloves on, throwing out masks, right? MAGA masks into the audience, right? And I watched some of the videos and I heard some of the comments from some people, and these are lifelong Republicans, right? And some of them said, if President Trump told me to wear a mask, I will wear a mask, right? Well, we got more than 200,000 people dead in our country, right? And I truly believe if President Trump told Americans to wear a mask, we would have significantly less deaths in this country. Where that number will land, I don't know. I think the death would be significantly less. We already talked about the NBA bubble. But I also know that lifelong Republicans are now coming out and saying that they're going to vote for Joe Biden. I know that there was a 4-star general, and his name was 4-star General Chuck Boyd, and he said that he is a lifetime Republican, and he's going to vote for Vice President Joe Biden as well. And he identified, and when asked why, he said that he thought what the breaking point for him was when President Trump really questioned the legitimacy of the election, and which is really the legitimacy of our democracy. Our democracy is built on this principle, right? And with him being a 4-star, he also took offense to President Trump's treatment of military personnel and bad mouthing them and saying that they were a joke or idiots, whatever President Trump said about military personnel. And I can't imagine why so many people are still blind to the political games and the rhetoric that this president does. I question, like, what has he done for you personally for you to be willing to give him a kidney? All right. Last week we talked about Scarface. And by the way, Scarface, he's gotten quite a number of people who have come forward to offer their kidney to him. But here's President Trump, and President Trump is this wealthy businessman and somewhat successful businessman, right? But what has he done for you, or how is he behind your cause, or how is he supporting your family? And because what I hear and what I see is really him supporting himself and his other wealthy friends and the like, and it's really self-interest that is motivating President Trump's initial run for the presidency and his desire to be in the second term. And in fact, I'll stop after this. I think the only reason why he wants to probably so badly win the second term is to legitimize his presidency, because people questioned whether or not it was Russian involvement. People questioned whether or not it was kind of stolen from Hillary, right? People didn't go out and vote, and that's the reason why he was the president. And I think that he wants to silence his critics, and it's not so much about being the president of the greatest country in the world, but more about his ego. And I think that's what's driving him. All right, man, I'll be quiet for a little bit.
I think he's trying to avoid at least 9 federal indictments. And that's really the bottom line of it. So his own son said, you need to leave my dad alone because he doesn't need this job. He was already wealthy. It's like, since when is being a president about getting paid? It doesn't pay that well. I mean, it pays, more than you and I make, but it's not.
Why you in my pockets, man? Why you putting my money out there like that?
All right, fair enough. I'll leave it alone. But my point is, does it make enough to deal with the mess you got to deal with to be president? Nah, I would ask for a little bit more chips. But again, it is what it is. Let me just say, we don't even have the time to get into this. I think we did that purposely, and I'm cool with that. But earlier this week, maybe the end of last week, it was a weekend. Yeah, because it was his weekend tweets. He tweeted out said, California, you're going to hell. Vote Trump. New York, you're going to hell. Vote Trump. Chicago, nowhere else for you to go, and that's sad. So you should vote Trump. That's a child right? There is not a political advisor on this planet or any other planet that would say, hey, this is a good move for you. There is not, if you were running for student body president, you wouldn't do that, right? And that's at a high school level. That's a child. And, you know, it's one of those, we used the word disgusting so many times. It's another one of those things. It's just disgusting. It's like, really, right now, I kind of want to smile. I kind of want to be happy that, you know, Biden, the reports as of yesterday are saying he's winning by a landslide. He's 17 points ahead. The last time a president was 17 points ahead was when Bill Clinton ran against the current president, George Bush, because he only did 4 years. And so when Bill Clinton ran, at a point in that campaign, he was 17 points ahead. And they were like, oh, it's going to be a landslide victory, a landslide victory. You know, throw a poll up in the air and, you know, see where it lands. And everybody could be wrong, because even in 2016, going into the election, Hillary Clinton was up in swing states like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, and she lost both of those states, you know, to our current president. And so you never know where a poll is going to land. But, you know, I just want him out, man. And that's the bottom line. I don't need nothing to happen to him. I don't need him to die. I don't need him to get sick. I don't even need him to get indicted. Just leave. Get out of the presidential office. Let somebody else take that seat and make America great again. Right? And that's all I got to say about that, because honestly, next week, or when's the next debate? October 22nd, right? We're going to be right back in on that. And I just, you know, I'm glad we did what we did this week, because I just don't want to give him a lot of effort, other than to say to the people who are watching, listening, wherever you're coming from, when you get your ballot, use it. Use it for the reason it was intended, whoever you're going to vote for, right? And as Caleb said, I can't understand people who are like, oh, I'm going to vote for our current president because of this, that, and the other. But you know what? That's your business. Whoever you're going to vote for is whoever you're going to vote for. But vote, because if there's a robbery that happened, it's that, you know, there are people who really believe that it didn't matter for them, and, you know, the collective whole adds to the reason we're in the state we are today. Go vote.
Hey man, I got nothing. I could add, but I'm not gonna add anything on top of that. I just I'll echo what you said. Go out and vote. Chase your ballots. Make sure you drop your ballots off at legitimate spots. All of it is very important. This is one of the greatest things that you could do as an adult, is to be part of the election and cycle, and have your vote included in the election of our next president. And vote, man, vote. It's so important that you go out there and do it. David and I will continue to do PSAs and talk about the election as we get closer. But it is up to you, if you are of age, if you're able, if you are capable of casting a vote, then do it. I think it is your civic duty.
Yeah, more so than serving on the jury or anything else. Here's the last thing I want to say, because we really try to be purposeful in this. One of the things that we do on Brothers from 818 is make sure we address things that are happening currently. And right now, one of the current things that's happening is a very significant thing, and it's that the Republican Party, the Trump administration, is moving forward with their nomination of Amy Coney Barrett for the next Supreme Court justice. And they've had 2 days of hearings on that. It's been 2 days of dodging this question, not answering that one, trying to push her to go one way or another. Purposely, I got nothing to say on it, honestly, because the way the Supreme Court is configured right now, regardless of what happens in these hearings, there's going to be a vote. And there's more Republicans on there than there is on Democrats. And unless someone switches up their party, switches up their voting direction, she's going to be conferred. And that's just that. I don't have a reason to dive into what that is. She has some very conflicting opinions. I'm definitely down to get in on those when the time comes. But since the American people have no say in that decision, I don't see a reason why I want to spend a whole lot of time talking about it. So anybody who would say something as to why we didn't talk about it, that's why I didn't talk about it. That's why I didn't bring it up. But Caleb, if you want to say something on it, feel free. I'll hear you out. I'll chime in if necessary. If not, we can jump right ahead to what you're listening to.
Regarding Amy and Barrett, I love how you put that. Like the American people have no say in it, and unless some Republicans are going to jump ship and swing in a different direction, we could form our opinions. We could voice our opinions about it, but it doesn't matter. And in regards to the election of regarding presidency, our opinions, I think they do matter because they might be able to sway someone. But in regards to this, I don't think our opinion matters. So let's talk about it. This week, I've been listening to a podcast. It's called The Drive. I think his name is Peter Attia, Peter Attia. And my wife turned me on to this podcast. She listened to it and she thought it was really interesting. He was interviewing a guy named Corey McCarthy. Somebody from McCarthy is from Buffalo, and he was talking about overcoming trauma and dealing with trauma and changing the self-narrative. And I thought it was interesting because she heard it and she knows that, my undergrad is in psychology. My graduate work is in social work. And she thought it would be interesting, or that I would really be interested in it. And I thought that the conversation was really interesting, but I also was listening to it as a podcast, thinking of how we are doing our podcast. And The Drive has been on for far much longer than the brothers from the 818. Peter is certainly more polished than me as a public speaker, but I was kind of lost in their podcast. I was like, could you just get to the point? All right. Could you move it along a little bit? And I share this because you asked me what was I listening to, and I was listening to The Drive, but I was also listening to the delivery of the podcast. And as far as getting to the content, sure, we jump around a little bit, but I don't feel like it takes us forever to get to the point. And this is no disrespect to anyone else doing podcasts or even Peter Attia. That's just what I heard. And I could appreciate the way that we jump into topics, even if we're going to be bouncing around, and get in and get out. So that's what I'm listening to. What you listening to, Dave?
Well, you kind of went uplifting on me and, education and edification. I just wanted to laugh this week, man. I went back to some of my old Eddie Murphy archives. I listened to Raw, and I recall the 818 Panorama City, the Americana, back in '87. We went and saw Raw. I remember we were in our seats and there was a white guy, a white girl, and another white guy next to us. And he said, look, let me show you. He's like, imagine your best friend sleeping with your woman. And one dude leaned over and popped the other one in the mouth. And we were sitting right there. And I was just like, and I think we just laughed until we couldn't laugh no more. And that ended the conversation with that. So I was listening to Raw. I went back to Delirious. I was checking that out, and that was funny. I think it was Delirious where he was like, Jesse Jackson's running for president. right? And he says, Jesse Jackson could win. And the audience got quiet. He's like, because white dudes do stuff like that. Let's vote for Jesse Jackson. They get drunk and just vote for somebody as a joke. And then they wake up next morning and be like, what do you mean? He won, right? And he used a lot more colorful language. And we were talking about, throwing away votes. When you throw away votes, unexpected things happen. And then I went back to his first one, at least his first public one. It was called Eddie Murphy. I think it was like 81. And that's the one where he was talking about, I was walking down the street, minding my own business, right? I was walking down the street, right? I was walking down the street, right? Minding my own business, right? And he told this whole story. So I was just getting my old Eddie Murphy giggle on. He ain't that funny no more. But, back before Dane Cook, before Kevin Hart, before, what's the old boy name? Dion Cole. Before all of these, comedians, there was an Eddie Murphy, and he ruled the comedy game before Chris Rock, before Jerry Seinfeld. He ruled the comedy game, emulating Richard Pryor, who emulated Red Fox, who, was around with Flip Wilson. I mean, it's just, it took me back. So I was in my Eddie Murphy archives this week.
That's what's up, man. Thank you. I love how you tied it all together too.
Yeah. So that's what's up, man. People, you guys just got to chime in with us today. Chopping it up, the brothers from the 818, how we do. As Caleb said in the opening, I picked up the phone and I called his number. He answered, and you just got to witness the conversation that we had. The political environment is increasing. We do have a guest lined up that really wants to dive into that. I'm looking forward to having him on. We have some surprises in the mix of things we want to do. So stick with us. There's a subscribe button around there somewhere. Make sure you like and subscribe. Somebody told me that. David, you need to say like and subscribe. All right. So make sure you like and subscribe for those of you who are watching their brothers from the 818 on YouTube. And I'll take it one step further. If you find our content engaging, right? Because, more, if you like and subscribe because you really find it engaging, you're going to tell somebody else about it and get them to like and subscribe too. And so we're really looking forward to just seeing, our numbers continue to move. They're still moving. They started off really good and then they leveled off a little bit, but that's just the way things go. But we'll keep growing because we're going to keep showing up and we're going to keep doing our thing. You can catch us on streaming channels. Everywhere from Spotify to Apple Podcasts to Google Music to iHeartRadio. Still got to knock that commercial out. Still looking for some feedback on the intro. If you like it, if you hate it, what do you think? What's going on with that? Or anything else you want to holler at the brothers from the 818 about. All you get from us is raw and real conversation. And we try to giggle it up every here and there. So that's what you got. We appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. You got any last words for the people, Caleb, before we bail on them?
Hey man, I love that we had we threw out some names. Preston's name was mentioned. Vivine's name was mentioned again 2 weeks in a row. Valerie, my 49er for life fan. I'm with you, Valerie. And
Deb.
Deb and Shay, right? And so, it seems like every week I mention my wife as well. So I love how we continue to celebrate the people that supports our show. I also like the fact that, we are supporting other podcasts such as Them Brown Girls. And I mentioned The Drive just a couple minutes ago. So, my last words would be vote.
Yeah. I should just hit the off button right there. I don't even want to follow that up with anything. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to gas you up just a little bit. You mentioned, it's probably 4 or 5, maybe even longer, that you make it a point to bring up your wife every episode. It's just kind of an honoring thing that you do to, mention her name, mention her presence, to talk about different things that she means to you and so forth. And that meant a lot to me. I'm not married. But I've been trying to mention Lana a lot more, and because she's a special girl, and I'm glad to have her in my life. So if I can give her any honor, I do. I'm a bust her up because that's just what we do. That's how we have fun. But her show, Them Brown Girls, we talk about a lot. Check it out, especially ladies out there. It's truly a ladies type of show. There's some interesting content otherwise, but if you happen to if you're a guy, you happen to catch an episode on makeup and beauty tips, you'll be like, Dave, what are you recommending? I'm recommending you tell your girl in your life to go check out Them Brown Girls. That's what I'm recommending. But for the rest of y'all, we just appreciate you showing up and watching. And final word. Whoa. Peace out from the brothers from 818.
You are down with
The brothers from the 818.